And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, today we're taking a look at the Gallerist. This is the art of strategy. It's from Eagle Gryphon Games. It's a designer that's really well known for heavier Euro games, and it's in a box that's, well, gigantic. This is a heavy Euro game about buying and selling art. Now, I know my board games, and I can tell you if a game is good or bad. It is hard for me to tell you if a piece of art is good or bad. I mean, I can tell you, but I obviously do not agree with the vast majority of art critics that are out there. So in this game, I can be one of those snobby guys who owns a gallery and is buying and selling art and trying to impress people by getting lots of money, because that's what art is all about, right? I think, maybe? Anyway, let's take a look at the game. Because of how much is going on in this game, I can't give you every detail of it, but I hope I can give you kind of an overview of what you're doing. Each player has an art gallery, and they're going to start with this art gallery here, and people are going to come in and look at their art gallery. There's different kinds of folks who comes in. There's collectors and buyers, and they're represented by different colors, like, for example, white is a collector. And there's just different people who will come into your art gallery. You have a lobby here, although when they're in the lobby, there's a chance that they will leave and go to the center spot and maybe go to someone else's. But once they're in your gallery, they're there for a while. Your gallery is also indicated down here. You'll see there's different walls, and as the game goes by, you might get a piece of art which fits in here. Kind of gives a nice visual image. There's someone looking at the piece of art that you've acquired. And you can get several pieces of art, and even possibly, if you get a bonus, have a fourth piece that's in there. Now, players are trying to get this art, and they're trying to get points in a lot of different ways in this game. At the beginning of the game, each player is going to get 2 cards. One of these is for art that you've sold over the course of the game. So if I've sold a certain type of art, I'll get points for that. And the other one is for art that you're displaying. So at the end of the game, if I have those 3 types of art in my gallery, I'll get 10 coins. If I have those 4, I'll get 15. If I sold one of these, I get 5. If I sold 2 of those, I'll get 10, etc. And so you can try to get as many of these as you possibly can, because money is how this game is scored. Now you'll notice here at the bottom of the board, since we're looking at it, there's a reputation track that goes up and down like this. This reputation track is useful because at the end of the game, it's going to give you money based on where you are on that track, but you're going to be using and spending reputation during the game, influence during the game, to do different actions. Now, actions are the heart of this game. You notice each person here has a very giant pawn, and there's 4 spaces on the board that you can do actions on. When it's your turn, you have to go to a different spot than the one that you're at. There's likely going to be someone else there. And in fact, if you have an assistant, when you go somewhere, you can leave that assistant behind so that you might get bumped out. Because when you bump someone out, they have the opportunity to take a kicked out action. Kicked out actions are going to be using this influence thing here. Let's say I kicked out the orange player, and he's here on 17. He can drop his influence back here to the 15, any of these pink spaces, to take the action that he wants to take, the kicked out action. And a kicked out action can be that action for the area that you've gone to, which you'll take after the main player takes their action, or an executive action. Executive action is just a fancy name for free action that you can do in your turn. Free actions or executive actions are going to revolve around these tickets. As the game goes by, you'll be getting these different tickets. You will be spending those tickets to move these guys around the board, and hopefully to get them into your lobby and then into your gallery itself, because they will give you money and points and things. Now, one of the main actions is over here, and that's finding and buying art from the different artists. The first person to go to an artist is going to discover that artist, which gives them kind of a bonus tile, which does something. For example, in your gallery, I'll get 2 money for every brown person in my gallery and 1 for every white character in my gallery. I'll then flip the tile over, and this person has been discovered. Now, as you look at this artist here, you'll notice that there's a track. This guy starts at 4 reputation. His reputation is going to go up over the course of the game when people buy paintings or when you artificially inflate it using advertising. and he's going to get the different stars. As this moves, you have a white cube that moves on this track, that's going to be the price of the paintings. How much the paintings sell for, though, is going to be on your own board. And when you buy a work of art from an artist, when you discover it, you'll put it here, which basically lets you buy a work of art from an artist for the cheapest price. I mean, you are the one who discovered them. But once you buy a work of art, you're going to put this over here to keep track of how popular that artist is, and it also tells you the selling price of that piece of art. When you buy a piece of art, there's 2 artists here. They're attached to this. Brings more people out into the middle and gives you that piece of art. It also might give you some bonuses based on what's on here, and it might increase the reputation of the artist, and then you'll flip it over and add it to your gallery. So you can go here and you can buy art from people or discover them. Then you're going to want to sell the art, and for that you need to go up here. You need to get a contract for the art. So going to this spot lets you take one of these cards, and you'll place that card in front of you in your art gallery, where people are going to, again, there's so many different things on this board that if you place this here, you get a pink ticket. There's many different spots on the board where when you do something, you get a bonus action. When you do this, you get another action. So I put this here. And now in the future, if I have a painting or a work of art that is of that type, and this is a painting, then I'm able to sell it, and I'll flip this over, which gives me more bonus actions. And then sold paintings, I'm going to keep basically outside. I'll store them on the outside of my board because they will matter at the end of the game. Also, when you sell a painting, hey, you get money. Down here is where you can hire more assistants. Assistants are used to activate bonuses, to go to the international market. You can also increase the rating. So each artist has a rating. You'll notice that artist that we turned over here, he has a rating of 1, which isn't that great, but I can increase his rating, which will increase his reputation, and you have to pay influence to do so, but there's more bonuses you'll get, and there's stacks of these thumbs up that you'll just take the next level and place it on him. And then finally there's this international market, which it looks extremely complicated, but there's 2 halves of it. If you go here, you need a certain type of painting to be able to go there. You need to spend a certain type of, you'll get a certain amount of influence for going there, and you need to have certain types of people in your lobby to go there. When you do that, you'll get one of these tiles, which will give you another bonus when you place it on your board. But at the end of the game, these are going to give you extra points, basically. They give you money and respect, and you can get a lot of points by collecting these tiles. Down here, you pay money to go on these spaces, but the spots, basically, by the way, you're putting your guys on these spaces. At the end of the game, you're going to use those guys who are on those spaces to bid for these leftover paintings, which could be very valuable. You don't have to buy them. It's basically a free painting that you've bid on by placing the workers there. Whew. That's a lot that's going on, and again, there's almost too much to kind of explain properly in a video, although there's an excellent video on the internet where you can find out how to play the game exactly. But essentially at the end of the game, you're going to get money from a lot of spots. You'll get from where you are in the respect track. You'll get money from people that you have inside your gallery, from the paintings that you've sold, the certain numbers you've sold, from the bonus tiles that you've gotten. In fact, if you go here to the top of the board, there's an entire section here where it shows you all the different ways to score at the end of the game. The end of the game is triggered if 2 different things happen, like running out of tickets and different things. And whoever has the most money at that point is the winner of the game. Now, there is a lot going on in this game. I didn't even tell you about all the little things, and there's bonuses everywhere. Although those bonuses are interesting because they really are an important part of the game. You know, if a bonus for having white and pink people in my place gives me points, then I better make sure I take that when I have a lot of those folks in my place, in my gallery. Now, I'm happy to say that the theme of this game comes through pretty strong. Other than the international market, which is a little odd, putting people in rows and columns and getting bonuses, that seemed very just there for the sake of it. But the rest of it, I like discovering an artist. And when you discover an artist, you have a chance to buy a painting from them for a very cheap price. Them buying and selling it, buy low, sell high. Promoting the artist makes them, more popular. Going and getting contracts for selling. I liked how all that fit together. And the paintings themselves, some of the artists for the game did some of them were sent in by actual artists, and that's good. It gives the whole thing a good look. There's a ton of iconography all over the game, but they do give you these boards here that explain what it all means, which is very useful, and also explain all the different actions. You're almost always involved, because even if it's not your turn, you're sitting there thinking about your turn, but also thinking about, ooh, when someone bumps me out of that location, what am I going to take that action? And that's such a cool. I like that mechanism, because someone bumps you out and you're like, okay, do I want to take that action? But to take that action, I'm going to have to drop down on the influence track. Now, hopefully it's only one space, but it could be 4 or 5. So if you're going to drop down that many spaces, is it worth doing? Or maybe you should increase your influence first. Or how important is that action for you to take it again? Wow, you have to think. When I teach this game, I start by explaining all the different ways to score at the end of the game, because there's so very many. And this is not one of those games that's like get more workers. You can get more assistants, but you got to be careful. First of all, they're expensive, but you might not need them. You only have spot for 4 of them at a time anyway. And what are you going to use them for? Are you going to send them out for bonuses? Are you going to put them on the board so you get those kicked out bonuses? There's much going on. There's some player interaction in the game, by with the artist, making them go up and down. Like, oh, I've invested that artist too. I'm glad you just made it go up. And maybe taking spots that people want in the international market. I'd say the most direct form of player interaction is I move people you want, and near the end of the game, when there's fewer customers that are in the middle, sometimes the collectors, the white guys, you want them to come to you, and there's maybe a bit of a battle there. I move them out of your gallery. I move them back in, type thing with the tickets. The tickets are interesting, using them to move the people around, and some of the actions you do actually take them out of your gallery back into the middle, or out of your lobby back into the middle. It's hard to explain the game, I think, just in this short video, but I hope you got kind of an idea of it. Now, do I like the game? I did. I thought that it was an interesting game. I really liked all the different options I had. Like I said, I'm glad that the theme came through. However, when I was done with the game, which was a good 3 hours or so, and each game is going to take about that long, I don't know that I felt that the amount of time was that great compared to what was in the game. I would have liked to play this in maybe 2 hours, or maybe even 90 minutes. There's so many things going on, so many bits and pieces, and near the end of the game, you're like, oh, okay, and you're trying to see everything goes together, and so it's good. It's very well designed, and I cannot say bad things about this, because this is an excellent design, and I would have tried to put it in a smaller box. This is seriously over. Eagle Gryphon's trying to make these big boxes for everything, so be it. But I liked it. I just don't know that I'm ever going to play it again, because it's just too. If I want to play a game for 3 hours, I want to make sure that, or this one, I could see this one going to 4. I want to make sure that I'm getting maximum fun per hour ratio, and I don't know for me it was that much, but I think a lot of people really are going to enjoy it. So I know a lot of people are, because I played it with several who really did enjoy it. I watched people playing it, and there's really enough going on that I think the strategies there are boundless. You're going to be able to go in and out. I just felt that the payoff wasn't as great for me for time. That's it. Other than that, I think the worker displacement mechanism, the bonuses, the different painters, the good underlying theme, and the very high quality of the components. This is one that a lot of people who like these heavy Euro games are really going to enjoy this one, and should check out the Gallerist. Dice Tower Judgment, approved, just a little long for me.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Shut the door.
There.